The School of Multidimensional Intuition presents the Intuitive Activation and Timeline Creation Workshop, Session 1. And so once again, like I said a few minutes ago, if you guys are capable, please check out who's here. You guys are among a group of individuals that chose to go through this very unique process. And let's go ahead and begin with what that is. And so as we move on to the next slide here we are, guys. Congratulations. You made it. However you heard of me, however you heard of this class, however you came upon this information, it is absolutely no mistake. What I'm finding is that there has yet to be one person that has made it to the work that I'm doing that just randomly showed up. They were like, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I signed up for this thing. Because what I'm finding is that there's a very particular group of people that are going through this process together. And you guys, the 30 of us that are among this class here today, are among the only people that are going through this unique process. And so what I've come to understand with that is that a lot of us have worked together in other lives. A lot of us have done this process before. For some of you guys, my face, my voice, maybe even the energy of other people in this group will seem very familiar to you. In my opinion and experience, that's because many of us have worked together before in other lives. Many of us have done other missions. We have been in other realms. And so now here we are once again in this earth plane. And what are we doing? Well, over the next 6 weeks, we'll be embarking on a very important journey of healing, self-discovery, and activation of the next version of what you chose to become and create in this life. The reality is, and I've said this before, for those of you guys that have been in some of my other workshops and meetings and kind of group stuff, I say this every single time because I believe it to be literally true. But the reality is we chose this specific time space for a very specific set of reasons. What that means is we chose to be born. We chose to come here. We chose to become humans. We chose to be born in this strange earth plane, especially around the years of 2019 and 2020 during this ascension process for a very specific reason. But those reasons, tasks, and missions are individual to each of us, and they will take many forms throughout our life cycle. A lot of people come to me in book sessions and they say, you know, I'm here to just understand my mission. And that's a beautiful thing, but the reality is we have many missions in this life, and depending on your age, where you're at, what's going on, it's going to be different and it's going to change throughout that process. Here at the end of 2019, we're coming to a stage in which we have a greater level of control over where we're going, over what we're doing, and all of those things. And at this stage of our evolution, we are being given an opportunity to accelerate and take charge of the energy being granted to us. A lot of us have heard over and over again about this harvest, this ascension process, and these waves of energy that are interacting with the human body. And what we're doing here during this course is putting some of that energy to use. During this ascension cycle, we've been gifted the ability to go through a process of rapid advancement, rapid growth in the physical lifetime. And so we're going to be doing that. During this 6-week journey, we're going through a process of clearing away old energies. Today, this is what this course, this session here today is really about. This is a deep cleaning and informational introduction of the things we're going to be covering in detail over the coming 6 weeks. So we may skim over a lot of stuff. We might blaze through certain areas. We might not cover things today that you were hoping to talk about. There will be a Q&A session later on toward the end in which we're going to be able to bring up anything else. If you guys have desires or things that you want to be working with, things that you want to learn about, things that you want to talk about, we do have an opportunity for you guys to bring those things up. But during this 6-week journey, we'll be going through a process of clearing away old energies and then actively developing the latent fourth dimensional intuitive abilities that reside within each of us. We'll be doing this by generating awareness of the elements of our energetic anatomy responsible for processing and handling these energies, and then clearing each structure, creating clarity, empowerment, and sovereignty within ourselves week by week. And so at the very, very least of this experience, each and every one of you guys will be going through 6 weeks of energy clearing. In every single session, we will be learning to clear our energy. We'll be working through these structures that are responsible for holding gateways or blockages or emotional energies that sometimes keep our consciousness kind of held down, suppressed, sometimes pressurized. Some of us come into this group with great wounds and elements of energy that we've been carrying for many lifetimes. And so during this 6-week period, we're going to be clearing, We're going to be sort of irrigating, quote unquote, and then really creating new growth in the body. And so the idea behind this is that we will be creating clarity, empowerment, and sovereignty within ourselves week by week. During this process, oftentimes when we go through multiple clearings and when we begin to actively work with our energy, we begin to uncover things about ourselves, abilities, things that we're meant to do, new inspiration, new directions. And the basic mission behind this journey is literally to awaken the next version of you. For each of us, this will be a different thing. This will be a different gift. This will be a different process. It will be completely unique to who you are and what you chose to become. For some people, the results will be huge. For other people, this will just be a self-education process that you go through in self-healing or learning about yourself. If there's anything that you need to know right now, it's this. And you guys can look down on the bottom of the page there if you choose to read this statement with me, because it's very, very important. If there's one thing that I have learned about the nature of non-physical energy, about the level to which, you know, we are able to interact with it, it's this. The level to which we feel and experience this energy is directly proportional to the level at which we allow ourselves to be a part of this process, meaning you will get exactly what you put into this experience. Sometimes I connect with people and we're doing clearings or readings, and you know, maybe they'll be driving their car, or they'll be at the store, or they'll be doing dishes, or you know, they'll be at work in their cubicle, you know, just trying to catch some healing on a break. And all those are, you know, those are legitimate places in which to do this work. But when we're educating ourselves, when we're expanding and moving into the next version of what we're becoming, it's very important that we set aside a place, a time period, whether that be in public or private or on your own. It's my opinion that if you want to make the most out of this work we're going to be doing in the coming weeks, that we need to treat this with somewhat of a reverence, and we need to really throw ourselves into this process. If there's anything I can tell you that might help you guys with that, if you're wondering what's a simple way that we can truly make a connection with the energy we're going to be using here, especially here today, that is to reach out and really connect with that childhood imagination inside you. We're going to be doing some little bit more work on that in a few moments. And yes, I will get to your questions. Thank you for raising your hand, Diana. We're figuring out, you know, when that's going to happen and how that's going to work. But we're going to move on for the moment, because who are we? What are we doing here? What's the whole story? What's happening? A lot of you guys signed up for this process, and you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this class. I don't know, sounds cool. I like this guy's info. Maybe there's something here for me. And there is. And so what are we doing? The lineup for these 6 weeks is quite simple, you guys. Each week we're going to be focusing on specific structures, energy centers, or frequencies in the body, generating awareness and clarity of these structures. And then using the scalar toning process each week, we're going to be creating new space, opening up new channels, creating, you know, an openness and the ability to kind of choose and direct and move your energy, emotional sovereignty, mental clarity. We're going to be working through creating clarity of these structures, and then, you know, and then working with that every week. As I start to get a little tongue-tied, I'm gonna read on. It's very important that you guys know self-work and self-reflection is paramount to this process, and it's going to be up to you to practice and to continue your work in the days in between classes. But self-work and self-reflection is incredibly important. It's going to be up to you to at least practice and work with some of this energy, or at the very least, it's going to be up to you to maintain an awareness as we talk about structures in the body, as we talk about chakras or meridians, or especially the emotional resonance of our organs, which we're going to get much more into in week 2. You're going to begin to feel little bits of awareness. You're going to get signposts. You're going to get little triggers or scenes or bits of information that are going to be passing through your body in the weeks coming. And you're going to notice. You're going to pick up things. And so we ask that you just stay cognizant, stay aware, be mindful of your energy, be mindful of your emotions as we continue to move forward, and just, you know, be gentle on yourself. So we do have to mention one thing. Keep in mind, this is actually a 7-session course. We do this over 6 weeks, but the final session, the last thing we're going to be doing is a timeline unification ceremony. And this is actually on Thursday, December 26, 2019. At the same time that we're starting this here class today, we're going to be doing one final 7th session on Thursday, December 26th, in which we're basically just doing a ceremony. We're doing kind of like a graduation, kind of like it's like a culmination of everything that we've been putting together, with the idea that over this 6 weeks, you're going to be fine tuning, you're going to be opening up meridians, chakras, your organs. You're going to be creating somewhat of a 4th dimensional template based on who or what you are choosing to become in 2020. The reason why we're doing this on Thursday, December 26th, that final session, is because this date is incredibly important. For those of you guys that are not aware, maybe some of you guys already know about this process, but eclipse alignments serve as anchor points and activation portals for timeline junctions in the 3rd dimensional realm. So what does that mean? Well, think of this period of alignment like an open doorway, or even a template that gets placed over your existing one, in which you'll be filling in the blank spaces with new energy you're creating in this course. Those who are aware of these astrological alignments and who choose to use this opening to your advantage will receive a massive boost in creationary potential moving into the next stage of your life. The reason why I decided to do this course around the eclipse is because in my own personal journey, eclipse alignments have been some of the most potent and incredible experiences. And I'm going to divert just a little bit from the content of the slide and talk about the initial, what I believe to be timeline shift opportunity for me took place in, I believe, August of 2017 at a conference called Eclipse of Disclosure, in which there was a massive solar eclipse, I believe sometime in late August of that year. And what happened to me during that stage is I was actually given a download. I was contacted, or I was in a process of being worked with by a multidimensional higher self council, and they began to give me these scripts or these movements or these processes by which I could align myself with this opening, this doorway that had that occurs in these eclipses. And so what I learned in that process and in the subsequent eclipses since is that every single time we have this alignment, there are millions of people all over this world. Like, I guarantee you guys, there are billionaires and trillionaires and millionaires that are following this alignment, that are watching this door open, and that are also doing their own processes. This is one of the great tools that has been given to us to shift our energy. The issue is right now we're at this stage of kind of collective awareness in which very few people are actually using this. I guarantee that the ones that are running the world, the ones right now that maybe we're trying to quote unquote, defeat or kind of overthrow and, move into this new earth era, they're also using this tool. And so what we're going to be doing in our own group, in our own class, is using this incredible opening toward entering the next timeline, the next version of yourself, the next you that's coming up in 2020. And I'm already going on a little bit of a tangent about it, but this is an incredible opportunity. So just keep in mind, you guys, the last date of this course is Thursday, December 26th, day after Christmas at 11 a.m. Pacific time on the West Coast. You guys can check your time zones and all that and find out when it is. You will also be receiving a recording of that. It's okay if you can't make it that day. The eclipse portal windows tend to stay open for about 24 to 48 hours in varying intensity. You can imagine it kind of, like as the sun passes across the moon, there is an opening that is there. And over this 6-week period, you guys, it's going to be up to you to choose, form, and mold this next version of yourself. A lot of us here have already made choices, contractual agreements. You've made a decision at a certain point of your life that you're going to go through a transformation. You're going to go through these events. Some of these happen to us through, great traumas. They happen early on in our lives. They happen at predetermined junction points in the 3rd density incarnation to teach us things, to take us through processes. A lot of these experiences that we're having were, predestined, meaning that we set them up for ourselves, by ourselves before we were born. Now, the how and the why and the when of those things, they can be a little bit different for each of us. But over the 6-week period, it's up to you to choose and form who it is that you're becoming. As we go through this eclipse portal on December 26th, we're going to be taking the accumulation of this version of you, the clear version of you, the empowered version of you that we're going to be working with over these next 6 weeks. And we're going to be taking that version of you through this doorway and this eclipse portal into 2020. Now, The reason why, or one of the reasons why this is so important, because I think everyone here that's in this class is aware of this dimensional shift. On some level, you must be aware that we are going through a great change in our society, a literal evolution of humans. And so as we go through this portal in December of this year, we're stepping into the version of us that we're going to be working as in 2020. And, you know, that's always changeable, that's always moldable, but we're giving ourselves an advantage, a leg up, a big jump ahead by making this choice as a group to enter and create a timeline in which each of us is going to be walking into that greater version of ourselves. It is important to mention, though, as we go through this process, you guys, especially here today, and some of you guys are going to experience a little bit of this, but many of these gifts, many of these abilities, a lot of this new version of yourself that's coming online, a lot of these things right now can be hidden behind some of our wounds, our innermost wounds, our internal scars, some of our old traumas. During the clearing work we'll be doing, and in our exploration of scalar toning, we will be actively addressing and beginning to work on these old energies within each of us. So be gentle with yourselves through this process. Why do I say that? For those of you guys that have experienced real energy clearing, and you know, maybe that's through your own work, through others, through me, whatever that is, it doesn't matter. But for those of you guys that have experienced true energy clearing and the removal of negative energy from the body, we'll be aware on some level that oftentimes the passageway into that clearing or into that empowerment is directly through our old wounds. And so we tend to feel them. We tend to sometimes have emotional kind of, you know, burn off after we do a clearing. We may feel a little bit triggered. That's oftentimes one of the greatest things we can experience, because it's telling us that we're going through a purging process. And so especially here today, when we go through the energy clearing a bit later, we're going to be going very deep. We're going to be going through a very distinct and heavy clearing process. The reason for that being is that we're clearing away the density, the dead energy inside your body, and getting you ready for what we're doing in the coming weeks. So it's very important. In the beginning, be gentle on yourself. Go easy with yourself. Allow any emotions that come up. You may notice some changes in your attitude, your outlook, your mental programming in the week, especially after this first clearing. So, you know, just remind yourself, you are going through an evolutionary process. And as we go through this doorway into the next version of yourself, there are many things that you cannot take with you. There are many packages, programs, codes, beliefs, wounds, elements of stuck energy in your body that you're not going to be able to take with you. So we just allow each and every one to pass as we go through this process. And we're going to go ahead and move on to this next slide here. Some of you guys have heard me already talking about scalar toning. This is kind of a big deal because scalar toning, in my opinion, makes up the primary, what I will call transmission method of the energy that I use in my clearings, that we're going to be using in this course. And so what is scalar toning? I think by now, most everyone here has probably heard of the word scalar or scalar frequencies or scalar healing. Many of us, myself included, have a very surface level knowledge of the intricacies of what this wavelength or this form of technology or this method of energy transmission, whatever you want to call it at this stage. And this is also just my opinion. I believe that human knowledge is very, very limited on this type of technology. But let's talk a little bit about what we know so far. And so if you guys can look at the text there, scalar waves seem to have first been discovered, or at the very least observed or noticed, by a man named William Clark Maxwell in the 1800s. You guys can do your research on this guy on your own. I'm not here for a history lesson today, but we do need to acknowledge that, you know, for all intents and purposes, he seems to be the first person in modern day society to have actively observed and cataloged, or rather, you know, really monitored the movement of these type of wavelengths. And so his work led to huge advances, a number of, you know, scientific advancements in this realm, especially quantum physics, which by my understanding had an incredible impact on Einstein and the work that he was doing at the time, including many others. Now, when you go through some of the research of scalar technology, scalar wave healing and whatnot online, you will have inevitably come to the story of Tesla, in which, you know, Nikola Tesla apparently built these, you know, Tesla coils, or like a device or whatever, that was able to broadcast a scalar wave frequency from one side of the earth to the other. So what did they notice during that experiment, which is very, very important, is that there was no change, no noticeable or measurable shift in the frequency or the strength of the frequency of that. What that teaches us on a very, very surface level is that this scalar wave frequency seems to have the ability to penetrate, to move through any structure, to move outside of the bounds of space and time. And these early stage discoveries led to an understanding that this frequency seems to travel along an alternating or bi-directional current of energy that, when configured properly, or rather, I guess we could say, when in resonance with its intended target, in this case being the human body, your body, my body, or to whomever we are sending healing, or to wherever, or to whatever. When this frequency reaches its intended target, it seems to have the ability to harmonize cellular structures, meaning it creates somewhat of an even and almost an abundant flow in between the spaces that are shared by living things. And it sounds like a very, very kind of odd statement, but what it does is it literally creates an evenness, a harmony, a uniform movement between particles, or what we might even say particulate matter in the body. What this seems to do is it has the ability to disassemble certain types of toxins, pathogens, maybe even negative emotional states in the body. Other people that are using this method of transmission in their healing work are beginning to discover that this is one of the easiest ways to remove what we commonly call implants, entity attachments. As we do more work into our chakras or the meridians, we will, begin to discover that this physical vibration we are creating. The reason why we're going on and on about this scalar wave technology is because what we're finding is that as we move into fourth density awareness, which is what we're going to be getting into more next week and in the weeks after, the literal next evolutionary version of you. And so as we begin to use and develop this ability to create an actual physical vibration in our body, our consciousness change, our abilities change, our awareness changes. The literal version of you that's here right now, and if you guys have cameras, take a look at yourself in that camera. Take a look at yourself, maybe later on, if your camera's not on, that's okay, but take a look at yourself. By the end of this process, at the end of December, I guarantee you, some of you guys are even gonna look a little bit different. There's gonna be a light in your eyes, there's gonna be a clarity in your body. And so scalar toning allows us to begin to bloom open, to blossom, and to kind of expand areas of our body that have been kind of held down or suppressed, or maybe even oppressed by this, these harsh frequencies in the world. But how did we get this? Where did it come from? I want to be just straight up by saying this is not something that I invented. This is not something that I came up with of my own. I believe this is a frequency that was given to me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that experience here today, because I am positive that I am not the only person that has had this experience. But in late 2017, I believe I was gifted this frequency. It was given to me after a particularly vivid out of body, what I believe to be an extraterrestrial contact experience, in which I believe my consciousness was taken to another planet or another dimension, or at the very least outside of the bounds of this physical realm, for the purpose of remembering this ancient extraterrestrial healing modality. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that experience. Some of you guys that have heard the other work that I've done, you've heard me tell this story before, so feel free to tune out if you're like, oh, he's going to tell this story again. But this is how this happened to me. I believe this was December of 2017, and at the time I was working at a shop here in Los Angeles, just doing psychic readings and energy work that we're doing now. And I believe this was about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. If I want to guess, I want to say it was a Friday. And I sat down in this chair in this little shop that I was in this little area, and I decided I was just going to do a meditation just by myself, just doing a little, midday meditation. And, within a few seconds of just closing my eyes and settling in, it was as if my body or my mind or something was taken to this place. And I'll describe the place to you. It was almost like a desert-like atmosphere. It was outside. The ground was very warm. It was very red, very dark brown color. And in front of me, in a line, were very, very tall, dark, black-skinned, what I believe to be male humanoid figures. If I had to guess, I would say they were about 8 to 10 feet tall, and they were coming toward me just looking at me, kind of walking toward my body. And as they began to come up to me, they took their hands and they put them in front of me and made a wall all around my body from front to back. They kept stacking their hands and putting them in front of me. It was as if they created this barrier. As that happened, they would split off and they would come around again, and this lineup would once again face me. And as these men or these beings walked toward me, and I'll describe their skin as being incredibly black, possibly with almost a reddish under tint, like underneath it. Very, very tall, very, very muscular beings. As they walked up to me, to my face, one or maybe more, I can't quite remember now, held their hands out and blew somewhat of a powder or a substance or something into my face. And at the moment that that happened in this environment, I was then taken to what I believed to be a dwelling space, a room, a house, wherever we were. And within this house, in front of me to the right, was what I believed to be a child of these people, a being, a much younger or smaller being that appeared to be laying on a table, possibly, what we might call a countertop, or even, like a massage table like thing over to my right. And for some reason in this experience, I walked over to this child that was laying on the surface, and I could see it was as if there was a crack in this being's head. It was like a glowing crack that was going along the scalp of this being. And in this moment, I began to put my hand over it and started to extract and pull out what was essentially a glowing sort of thing, a glowing, almost like a slug or a tube or like a metallic kind of, I'll just say it, it was kind of like a metallic slug that I ended up pulling out of this being's head. And from there, I was immediately transported back to that yard, that scene, that outdoor space in which I observed these very tall, black humanoid beings doing somewhat of what I would describe as a ritual dance. And as I was watching them, they would move their hands and do this dance and begin to move their hands around and kind of swivel and swirl. And they were kind of pounding their feet on the ground and doing this rhythm. And what I noticed during this process is that they begin to form these balls of light, these spheres in their hands. And, as I think other people have done in myself in this internal environment, the human mind, I think, began to kick in. It began to wonder, begin to ask questions. And on some level, I begin to, internally ask, what am I doing here? What is happening? And as I began to have that thought, these men turned and faced me with these orbs in their hand, and they shot them all straight into my chest. As they did that, I saw what looked like a DNA helix inside my body, and it seemed as though all of these little orbs that they had shot into my body were lining these DNA helix structures inside my body. Oddly enough, as that happened, I began to kind of lift up. It was as if I was kind of pulling up out of the scene. And this may have only been, a minute. It might have been 30 seconds. It might have been something that I experienced in this plane in, just a fraction of a second. But during this period, I was taken out of my body and contacted by these beings. What I discovered is after that very strange experience, in the coming days and weeks, I began to emit an audible tone in my healing work. An actual sound started coming out of my body. It was a vibration that I began to use in the healing that I'm doing now. And in the year since, or rather almost 2 years since, what I began to discover is that we have the ability to almost attach on to create two poles on a battery. And if you look down here at this illustration down on the bottom of the screen, I'm going to activate my little pointer. If you look down here at this visual depiction of the scalar wave frequency, you'll notice there are depicted two poles, source A, source B. What I begin to discover is that in the act of doing energy work, in the act of clearing dead energy from the body, we have the ability to create two poles on a battery, two areas with which we will then begin to move energy in and out through structures, through our meridians, through our chakras. And so what I began to understand through my own research was that this was a method of creating what is essentially the scalar wave frequency. And if you just look at the simple depiction on that bottom image down here, when we look at source A and source B, at this very simplistic visual depiction of what is believed to be the pattern of scalar wave movements through time and space, we see these two bidirectional moving kind of patterns. And what we see are, two sources negative charge, positive charge. What we're going to be doing in our healing work and the toning work is we're going to be harmonizing and moving through areas. And so as we do this exercise, we're going to be doing in a few minutes here, you guys are going to be connecting to areas on your body, creating 2 poles on a battery. Now, when you're doing distance work, it will not be necessary. It's the intention that makes this happen. But what we're discovering with this is that as we begin to harmonize and create this vibration in the body, it literally breaks through. It almost disassembles these pathogens and these energies in the body. And so through the knowledge I received in that visitation, I've come to understand that this method, this technique is being reintroduced to our population during this time of harvest and dimensional transition to assist each of us in remembering who we are and what we came here to do. In my contact since with these beings and with what I like to call the multi-dimensional higher self council of beings that have chosen to guide Matthew during this incarnation, what I was shown was that at many different intervals in our human life cycles, we actually gathered together as groups of individuals, whether it was in Atlantis, whether it was in Egypt, whether it was in Lemuria, you know, whether it was in the countless other lifetimes and realms that many of us have operated in. But what I discovered was that during those lifetimes, we actually gathered together as groups and would create these vibrations, these tones. It's almost like we would create an orb or an area or a sealed environment with which we were able to move energy, to heal, maybe even create like a barrier or a shield around our bodies. And so over the research and the work that I've been doing in the 2 years since, this has shown to be the #1 most effective tool that I am using in clearing work today. And the reason why we're doing this here today is because I believe this is one of the tools that's going to assist you guys in moving through those unbreakable bonds, those pieces of yourself that have lasted throughout this physical incarnation, those things or those issues, or sometimes, you know, physical illnesses where where you sit there going, man, if I could just get over, you know, I would be so much better. Or if I could just blank, things would change. You know, we're going to start working with those immovable objects or those immovable emotional and energetic structures in the body on the idea that that's going to allow us to really shift, to really, really move into this next version of ourselves. And so you guys are literally the very first group of people on this planet that I am working with to learn how to create this frequency. And so what's cool about this, for those of you guys that have done individual work with me before, you've probably heard me say this. Once you experience this modality, your body remembers. Your body is able to use this frequency. And so the primary method through which we will be transforming our timeline, removing dead energy, and, you know, creating the next version of ourselves during the 6-week process is through the act of creating a scalar wave frequency with your human body. And so we're going to start doing that here right now, today, in this moment. So if everybody can kind of settle in, I've been rambling at you for a while. Take a few deep breaths, and we're going to do a real quick exercise. As we do this, maybe you guys have some water or juice, or, you know, maybe for those of you guys that saw the email that we sent out, hopefully you have somewhat of an item. It can be a crystal. It can be, you know, a stone. It can be a, you know, like a family heirloom. Some people will choose to obtain wands. That is totally cool. I love that idea. Some of you guys will just have a little item. I think someone messaged me about a wedding ring. Those are all perfect. It doesn't matter what this object is made out of. The reason why we're using tools like this is because one of the things we're understanding about fourth density energetics is that especially crystals, especially stones, certain inanimate objects have a consciousness and a vibration that is also ascending. And so when we choose to use these vibratory tools as we go through this process, it will enhance, it will strengthen, and it will allow your body to absorb more of this energy. It will also serve as an anchor point, something with which we will be able to return to feel the frequency that we're creating here today. And so this is not a requirement. You don't have to have a crystal. You don't have to have somewhat of a stone or item or just a thing that you're going to carry with you. But if you can, it's incredibly helpful. And even if you don't have one today, it's cool. We can use it next week. But it's good to have something that you can kind of hold in your hands, because we're going to be meditating. We're going to be holding this thing in a few minutes, and we're going to be creating some sounds with the body. And especially when we begin to create physical vibrations, things are affected. Just by the act of creating a physical tone, we're going to be altering the energetic space around ourselves. So if everyone's ready, please gather your items. I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly check our chat and some of the questions. Melinda says a little while ago, I think you're dehydrated from moving so much energy already. Maybe drink some water. I might be dehydrated. Thank you. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, if you guys have water, let's go ahead and drink a little bit. Thank you, Melinda. So before we start this real quick exercise, if there's any just brief questions, really quick stuff, we're not going to pause too long on the Q&A because we're going to be doing this later on. But if you have a brief question, go ahead and throw it in the chat. What we're going to be doing here now is sort of just connecting in with ourselves, with our body. And for some of you guys, this will be the first time you've ever done this. And so just to give you an idea, as I'm waiting to see if there's any questions that come in, what I'd like you to do is just kind of settle in and start taking some real deep breaths. Very deliberate, slow breaths all the way down in your belly. And what we're going to do today is demonstrate the difference between, you know, just a tone that you make with the body and a scalar tone. We're going to do 3 of these actually. And the first one we're going to do today is just a sound that we're going to make. And for those of you guys that are kind of warming up your bellies and your body and you're just kind of stretching that diaphragm, I'd like you to just continue to breathe deeply. We're not going to add any intention. We're not going to add any emotion. We're not going to add anything extra to this first tone. We're just going to do a very, very simple exercise in creating a vibration in the body. Just a very simple exercise. And so I'm kind of pausing here to let everyone get settled in. So if you're ready, I'd like to have everyone just close their eyes. All you'll have to do is be able to hear my voice. And so one of the things we've learned over the past few months of doing these sessions and these classes and work online is that when I tend to make this tone, oftentimes sound will cut out, or it'll kind of start out for a minute and then it'll go quiet, and that's perfectly okay. What tends to happen when we create highly amplified or charged, you know, vocal sounds over like, you know, like microphones on our computers or phones, sometimes the sound will cut out. There is a chance that, you know, some of you guys will not hear me create the entirety of this tone. But the idea is that you're going to be doing this as well and just noting how you feel. So in the next few moments, after we continue to do a little bit more breathing, I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And everybody here as a group, we're all going to just emit a sound. It doesn't matter what the tone is. It doesn't matter what note it is. It doesn't matter if you are able to match me or if you can do it as long as me or if you can do it longer or, you know, whatever that is. I just want you to notice how you feel when we create a vibration in our body. And so I'm going to make this even weirder, you guys. I am going to unmute every single person here during this sound we're about to make. So I just want to let you guys know before we start this, I'm going to unmute everybody, but let's just settle in. Let's close your eyes. You might hear some strange sounds. You might make some strange sounds. We're going to do 3 of these. And after the first one, let's just note how we feel. Let yourself settle in. This is your first exercise in creating an audible vibration as a group in your body. Let's all take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. And follow me. And so some of you guys heard that sound. Some of you guys heard the crazy stuff that just came out. That is amazing. Thank you for doing that with me. The reason why we do that first one like that is because we're getting a feeling. We're getting a vibe. We're getting an auditory sound, a connection with the vibration that your bodies are making. And so after we did that just weird cacophonous, you know, like collection of sounds and crazy noise, just ask yourself, how do you feel? That's just a simple tone. I'm going to ask hopefully one of you guys, if you're capable of just, you know, throwing a comment in the chat, how did you feel about creating that sound? What did it feel like for you? We just did a bunch of oohing and ahhing right here, you know, live on Zoom. For some of you guys, that was really weird. I can feel some of you guys kind of questioning and feeling the connection, going, am I doing this right? What's happening? Why are we all doing this? This is the beginning of the creation of that vibration in your body. And for a lot of us, the very first few times we do this, it just feels like a thing that we're doing. It feels like just going through the motions. We're creating a sound in our body and we're going, yeah, I don't even know. Is this doing anything? And that's okay, very good. And so Maureen loved it. Thank you, thank you. Renee says your cat freaked out. That's awesome. That's perfect. I love that. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2 more of those. And the next one we're gonna do is a little bit different. On this next one, I'm gonna keep everyone muted. This is one that you're gonna be doing by yourself. On the third one, we are gonna do this all together once again, and you guys are gonna notice a big difference. But on this second tone, and let's all just kind of settle in and hang out for a moment, we're just gonna go a little bit deeper. And so on the second tone, I'd like you to just kind of attach and just kind of reach into your heart. And so if you can, you guys, once again, as we get ready to do this, just close your eyes. Don't worry, all you have to do is be able to hear my voice and just take a few breaths once again down in your belly. And if you're wondering how to do this, if you're wondering what's the right way to breathe when you're creating these tones, it's very, very simple. For this one, I'd like you to begin blowing up your belly like there's a balloon down there, like you're intentionally puffing everything up as big as you can go. And as you exhale, I'd like you to exhale every single bit of air all the way down. Good job. I can feel you guys doing that already. Real deep, slow, deliberate breaths. And so for this next tone, this is kind of a scalar wave activation. What I'd like you guys to do is just bring your awareness to your heart and your chest as you're breathing. Bring your awareness into the center of your chest. And in this moment, just acknowledge and understand that there's a group of people from all over the world in their own spaces, in their own rooms, in their own homes, in their own cars, joining you in this process, connecting with you in this moment. Each and every person here today has a desire to be something more, to become something more, to reach new heights, to become that next version of themselves. And as we connect in with your heart, connect in with that heart, find that emotion, find that feeling, find that desire inside you that says, I don't know why I'm here today, but I'm here today to grow or change or become, to move into the next stage. And in the next few moments, we're going to count from 3 to 1. We'll take a real deep breath in and we'll do a new tone by yourself in your own space. And I'd like you to just monitor and notice how different this is for you. For some people, you might not notice much of a change. For some people, you might notice a huge increase in emotion or connection. Some of you, as you're creating the sound in your own world, in your own space, muted, unable to be heard by others, will begin to feel and hear the vibrations of the other 27 people in this group that are doing this process with you right now. So when you're ready, let's focus in. Let your breathing settle. We're going to do a 3, 2, 1, and then a very deep, rich, heartfelt tone. We're focusing right here in the center of your chest. I know this is new for you guys. Here we go. Let everything out. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Good job. There you go. Some of you guys are still going. Excellent. Very, very good. Good job, everyone. And so this is tone number 2. As we begin to activate this scalar wave frequency inside your bodies, inside your consciousness, as we create this second wave, the second tone, note how you feel. For some of you guys, the difference is huge. For some of you, it's subtle. For some of you, you're sitting there going, wait, am I doing this right? And I promise you, you are. But just like everything else in this world, when we start riding that bike, the first time you rode that bike as a child or whenever you learned, it was very difficult. It was really weird. It was a completely alien process. For those of you guys that have started a musical instrument, you start to play the guitar maybe. The very first times you put your hands on those strings, they actually hurt. They didn't feel good. It felt strange. You may have asked yourself, how the hell am I ever going to play like this person? How am I ever going to be able to, play this song or this sound or whatever it is? Today, we are beginning the process of creating those vibrations in the body. And so we're going to do one more tone, one more final one together, and then we're going to move on into the next stages of what we're discussing. But I want you guys to notice how this changes on number 3. And as we get ready for this, thank you. Big difference on that one. Thank you, Maureen. Awesome. And so what we're going to do is one more final tone. For this one, I'd like you to attach in, if you can, you're adding something into this capsule of energy, this vibrational tube that we're creating here. And what are we bringing into that? We're bringing our hope, our desire, we're bringing the energy of our heart space. But most importantly, you are bringing your intention for healing, your intention for change, your intention for empowerment. You're bringing that into this vibration, and if you can, I'd like you to bring a color in, bring an emotion in. You're going to bring every single layer of experiential or emotional energy that it's available to you right now for this third and final tone. And so we're going to do this together. For some of you, you may still be questioning how this goes, but don't worry, we're going to be working with it in a few moments. So this is our final third tone. Everyone let your breath out. I'm going to unmute everyone, and we're going to do this together. Get ready. Take a deep breath in. Very good. You can keep going. Good job. Notice the difference. Even the audio quality of that third tone, when we unmute everyone and hear this explosion of sound and all these crazy tones, you guys can hear how it's already a little bit different. For some people, there's a whole different sensation when we create that tone, but this is your beginning. This is your intro. This is your first taste and your first kind of steps into beginning to use this modality that each of us have used during multiple lifetimes. Each of us have used during multiple lifetimes. I'll say it again. Each of us have used this modality in multiple lifetimes. Today, we are beginning the remembrance process. So, forgot to mute you. Yeah, I might have, maybe. We're still getting used to this muting process. So thank you. We're gonna move on to some of the other slides, you guys. Very, very good job. This is your first journey into scalar toning, but why are we toning? What are we putting energy into? What is it where are we sending this stuff? During this course, during these 6 weeks that we're gonna be doing, and especially next week, we're going to be diving into a lot more about chakras, a lot more about energetic anatomy. We're going to talk a little bit more about chakras and the meridians. And we might be going a little long in this first session, you guys, so I do apologize. I'm trying to keep these to an hour and a half, but we are doing the best we can. But let's talk about our chakras. Right now, many of us are already aware on some level. If you're here in this class, you've probably heard of a chakra. You probably have some vague awareness or an idea as to what it is. Let's talk a little bit about those. And so one way to imagine a chakra is kind of like a spinning vortex, a gateway. I think they loosely translate to wheel in the body. One of the ways you could visualize those is, and if you look down here on this little guy over here on the left, I use this image in nearly all of my presentations. I don't know who made it. Somebody made it on Google Images, and I've been using it ever since, but it's very good because it points to some of the secondary chakras that we're going to be working with over this course. And it's difficult for me to pull my little pointer down underneath this guy's feet. But if you guys can look down underneath this person's feet down there, you'll notice that thing called the Earth Star Chakra, the soul star up there, that high heart chakra in the body. What we're going to be doing is working through some key areas that are often ignored. They're not necessarily looked at. We're going to be going outside of the bounds of this regular 7 chakra layer system toward what I believe to be the evolution of what we're becoming in 4th density. And so it's important to mention that as our 3D energy bodies continue through this ascension process, nearly everyone on some level will experience massive changes in how your body is processing and circulating energy. In my opinion and experience, that is due to the compression, integration, and the melding of the energies present in these subtle layers. And so I think, you know, several of you guys that are here today have seen some of the other work that I've done or videos or other presentations. So you might be generally aware that on some level, it is my current belief and understanding that as we move into 4th density, the 7 layers of chakras in our body are actually compressing and turning into what we call the dantians down there, right here in the center, this guy down here with these 3 energy centers. And so what this means is we are compressing, we are molding and evolving into something that is more highly concentrated, more full of life. If you look at some of the passages in the Law of One that talk about the 4th density shift, Ra talks about how that 4th density energy body is very human. It is very physical. It is more compact, compressed, or quote unquote, I believe full of life is the actual terminology that is used. But what I believe that to mean is we are compressing and moving into a smaller, more tightly contained energy body. Why is that? Because as we move into this next version of ourselves, this 4th dimensional realm that we are currently in, but our physical bodies are catching up into, as we expand, it is my current understanding that this is what allows the physical body to begin to interact more effectively and more easily on those astral planes. When our chakras like compress and sort of move into these more concentrated energy centers, this is where some of our abilities and the things that we are, the new versions of ourselves, become more refined, more apparent, more easily available. And so I'm just going to read through this. Some of you guys might recognize this text from some of the other work that I've done, but as our 3rd dimensional energy bodies continue to expand, many of us are already experiencing the evolution of our original 7 chakras into the 4th dimensional construct of the Dantian, the 3 energy center structure. Now, like I just said, it's my current understanding that the 3 energy center structure represents the 4th dimensional blueprint of what our human bodies are progressing into during this dimensional shift. As I work with clients out in the world and I take looks and views and begin to work with, the energy body of the people that I'm working with, it seems as though many of us, not everyone, but many people have already experienced what I believe to be kind of a melding of some of the upper chakras, things pulling together. I would say if there is one primary area that seems to be well formed in a large group of our populace that are working through this ascension process, I believe it to be coalescing around those lower 3 chakras, the root, sacral, and the solar plexus. Why is that happening right now? Why does that tend to be the first Dantian energy structure that forms? Is because I believe those energy centers are responsible and kind of work together with the creation of primordial chi in the body and the physical elements of transformation of the energetic body. And so we're going to talk more about the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus next week. But it's very, very important to note that many of us are already quite far along this journey. We will be in, varying stages of the chakra melding or kind of like compression process. But it's important to mention that as we continue through this process, so does our sensitivity to energy of all types, positive, negative, whatever it is. And what we find is that in the vibration of fourth density, we start to become aware of our existence outside of the realm of physicality into what we call this astral realm. A lot of you guys are already working in that space. If you're wondering, you know, what's the easiest way to understand the astral realm at this stage of my third dimensional incarnation, that would be by just looking at what happens in your dreams. Look at the dream state. Try to understand that dream world that you go into every night. And that's a very good kind of base level for what we might term the astral realm. Now, they're incredibly varied kind of, you know, levels to which we're able to interact and view that space. But for all intents and purposes, the easiest way to understand what is the astral realm right now, look to your dream world, where many of us are doing work right now. Many of us are having meetings. A lot of us are encountering each other in that space. Some of you guys might encounter other people in this group in your dreams during this class, but at this stage of our development, we're experiencing an additional layer of awareness and consciousness that often begins to manifest in the form of what we call psychic abilities. And those are going to be different for each of us. You know, you guys can see the listing down there. We're going to talk a lot more detail about what those are, what's coming online. And the reality is every single person in this group, you guys chose a set of abilities. You chose skills. You even chose times and processes by which you would be able to take advantage of and develop those. And so we're going to be working with some of that over this course. So I'm going to move on to the meridians. Before I go on a huge tangent here, we're going to be talking more about the chakras in coming weeks, but just be aware, you guys, right now, the chakra system in your body is changing. And so, you know, we're going to be talking more about that soul star, throat chakra, the high heart or thymic chakra, solar plexus, and that earth star chakra, among others, in the coming weeks. So let us move on. But what about the meridians? So I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys. This is just an overview. We're going to go into way more detail on these next week, but from a basic perspective, you can think of the system like your energetic circuitry. And if you guys look at this guy over here on the right, I got a new meridian image, which I kind of like a little bit better than the last ones. You can look at these strange lines in the body, these weird circuits, these strange pathways, and you know, you'll notice if you look at them, there's a number of them. They go all over the place. It's commonly accepted there are 20 meridians that make up the majority of the energetic layout of the human body. In my opinion, you guys, I believe there are way more than 20, just like there are way more than 7 internal chakras in the body. There may be a countless number of them. As we continue to begin to understand fourth density, I think a whole additional layer of things are coming online, possibly even new elements of our circulatory system in the body that right now we are just unable to perceive. But most people understand that we have 12 primary meridians that serve as pathways between our organs, energy centers, and other layers of etheric anatomy. In my opinion, you guys, and the work that I do and other clearing practitioners that are doing similar work, I believe that the meridians are probably the most active structures in the human body at this time with respect to moving energy, with respect to blockages, with respect to implantation or entity attachments. Why is that the case? Because it's my belief that the meridians are almost entirely fourth dimensional structures, meaning that they don't necessarily exist in the physical realm. The reality is, you know, you can probably, you know, point your finger on that line that you see going right down the middle of your body here, that black line in the image, and, you know, you put your finger on that, you might not feel anything. You might not feel a line going down your body. You might not feel that thing called the conception vessel, but it's absolutely there. And so what we're talking about is the subtle layers of etheric or energetic anatomy. These are pathways that link our organs. And what we're discovering is that they hold an incredible amount of emotional data, incredible amount of information. As we're expanding our awareness and awakening new gifts, awakening that next version of yourself, the meridians, if you guys are able to start studying these and looking at these pathways and doing work on these, you are going to change your body. You're going to change your consciousness. And I'm going to make a really bold statement that I'm going to say again later. For some of you guys that really begin to study and work with the meridian structures in your body, these will be the keys toward releasing long-running physical and emotional maladies. Sometimes, just by clearing other meridians and purifying the lymphatic system, we can literally end autoimmune disorders. We can end long-running physical maladies that have no known cause. A lot of these things, not all of them, are caused by blockages in the energy body that eventually turn physical. And so awareness of this meridian system is vital for understanding the flow and movement of energy in the body, especially when clearing or removing negative energetic manifestations, like we mentioned, implantation, entity attachment, or just blocked emotional energy in the body. We're going to talk more about them next week, but I'm just going to scoot up to the sentence right up above that. And it's very important just to become aware of, I would say, two structures here today: the governing vessel and the conception vessel. And so if you're able to look at this little image over here, this strange guy with all these lines on his body, maybe you'll find this black line that's running down the front of this guy's body. And maybe if you look over here, it's very hard to see, but if you look over here, you'll even find a gray line running up and down this guy's head right here. And if you look over here, you'll notice it says governor. And up here we have a conception vessel. And so what are these? In my opinion, these are some of the most important elements of your etheric anatomy, because these are your central channels. They supply and route energy through, to, and between all of the other meridians, organs. They even work with our chakras. When people are very blocked, when people come to me very, very stagnated, unable to move energy, unable to feel energy, maybe they've been stuck in kind of an emotional loop for many years, one of the places we begin to move and kind of, bring energy into that starts to create a revitalization in the body are those central channels. And so we're going to be working with a little bit of that energy here today. But it's important to mention during this class, we're going to be placing special emphasis on these structures. But let's talk a little bit more about them just real quickly, because it's very important that you guys at least be made aware of the central channels today, and probably the first two on this list down here. These first two guys, this gallbladder meridian right here, and I even included the gallbladder meridian with this strange guy's head over here on the left, and you can see this weird loop, this strange circuit, all these little dots, and this pathway that goes all over this guy's head. But why are we showing the gallbladder? What does that have to do with anything? For those of you guys that are here, this is an incredibly important area for you to understand, because in my opinion and experience, the gallbladder meridian comprises the running loop of emotional and thought-based energy that's constantly circulating through your body. It's not the only one, but it tends to be, for the people that I work with, one of the #1 places in which our energy gets blocked up. And so we're going to be doing some work on this in our energy clearing in a few moments here. But for now, just become aware of these structures, these lines, these pathways. Every single time I talk about the gallbladder, some people tend to get sensations on the side of their head, a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of weirdness. It's going to be very, very useful for ending that running loop and the noise in your head, the high pressurization that you have. That triple heater right underneath it, it's a little bit harder to see on this diagram here, but if you look down at the head, you'll see on the side here, this orange word right here, triple warmer. Some people call it triple heater. What is the triple heater in the body? Why is this important? Why are we mentioning it? The triple heater is one of the meridians that's responsible for circulating a large amount of energy through the body, sometimes unused energy, sometimes energy that gets stored or routed from other meridians or organs or energy centers in the body. And what happens with the triple heater, just as a structure in the body, is that for those of us who have a lot of trapped emotion or unresolved trauma or unresolved anger, unresolved grief, experiences that were unable to resolve at early stages of their life, the triple heater meridian is one of the primary meridians responsible for making emotional energy physical, meaning that at certain age stages in our life, that triple heater meridian tends to act up based on the pressurization of previously unresolved emotional energies, and we start getting sick. Some of us begin to experience rapid aging. Some of us begin to experience, our hair gets thin, our fingernails change, we start to gain weight. It's like we age very rapidly in a short period of time. And what that is the exhaustion or the buildup of emotional or electrochemical energy routed from other meridians and other organs into the triple heater. And if your body has nowhere to put it, it just tends to circulate throughout. And where does it go? We're going on a big tangent, but one of the places it goes to, which we're going to be talking about in later weeks, is the lymphatic system. And I'm just seeding your consciousness with this term. The lymphatic system, you guys, is going to be one of the most important things for you to understand in shifting your energy going forward. But let's stay meridian focused for the moment. We're going to be dealing with that urinary bladder as well. For those of you guys that are running a lot of fear in the body, that get a lot of fear, urgency, or you just don't know where it's coming from, and it's this very tense fear or this need to do or be or act, and you don't know what it is, that tends to be urinary bladder. We talked about governing vessel and conception vessel as essential channels. And then we look at that kidney meridian. Why is that even highlighted? You know, what does that have to do with anything? The kidney meridian is probably one of the most important areas for routing and creating what we call primordial chi, your body's life essence, the energy that keeps you going. And a lot of us are very worn down. A lot of us experience incredible adrenal fatigue due to, you know, just environmental toxins, emotional conditions, old traumas. And I'm going to bring your guys' attention down to this foot. This is the reason why I included this diagram, because one of the things you can start doing probably today, if you choose, is you can actually look at your own feet and look at this diagram down here. Look at how there's this little dot right in line with the second toe, right in the middle of your foot. What is this? This is the first point of your kidney meridian. We're going to talk more about it next week. But, you know, for some of you guys, you can even just kind of stick your thumb or your fingers right up in that area, and you might feel a little bit of tenderness. This is one of the areas in which our body can become ungrounded. We'll have a lack of flow. We'll have a stagnancy that routes up through the body, through that earth star chakra underneath your feet. And it's also responsible for a great amount of blockage. And so we're going to be working with that kidney meridian. Not going to go too much into it here today. But in addition to that, the last thing I'll mention before we move on is the pericardium. We see the spleen and liver. We'll talk more about those next week. But pericardium meridian is very important to mention here today, because this creates a barrier. It creates kind of like a, you know, almost a, it can be a shield. It can be a stopping point. It can also be an element of your etheric anatomy that draws in energies. The reason why we're paying attention to the pericardium is because this is the area where we hold a great amount of charge. It's right in front of your heart. And if you guys are wondering, what the hell is the pericardium? It's actually a layer that guards and surrounds the physical heart. It's a bit like it's almost like a sac, or like this layer that kind of, you know, surrounds it. And so from an energetic standpoint, this is the guardian of the heart. And so how does that work on, you know, just a 3D day-to-day standpoint? Is the pericardium will, you know, like I said, create a barrier, but what it also does is it holds an energetic pH. For those of you guys that have done individual work with me, you've probably heard me talk about the energy, the emotional or energetic pH value of the body. The pericardium is one of the etheric structures on the body that sends out a signal, and it'll attract, in some cases, it'll, you know, it can attract narcissistic like relationships. It can attract certain situations, or cause you to be attracted to people or things that aren't good for you. It can draw in positive things. It can draw in negative things. One of the ways we describe it is kind of like a field that has been set up to grow a certain type of crops. They always grow there because that's what's always grown there. And so when we begin to work with the pericardium energy, we start to, you know, change and irrigate and replant new things in our body. We begin to draw in and kind of attract new experiences. And so it's just important. We're just maintaining awareness, and just today we're just bringing up these terms. For some of you guys, it's the first time you've ever heard of the meridians. For some of you guys, you're like, well, what the hell does this have to do with anything? It has a lot. By clearing these structures, by generating awareness and, you know, empowerment and clarity in these strange little lines, these pathways of emotional and energetic, you know, energy in the body, not to get too redundant there, by generating awareness and clarity of these structures, we are awakening and moving into that next version of you. We're clearing away all of those internal layers of just dead energy. And so the meridians will play a very big role. We'll talk more about them later on, but let's move on. Let's go on to the next slide. This is pretty important, you guys. I'm going to pause here just for a quick second. Take a drink of water. You guys can just also hopefully have some juice or water there. I know we're going on a big tangent here, a lot of information. But let's get real about heavy metals. The reality is we're being subjected to a tremendous amount of heavy metal particulate matter on a daily basis just by living in this world. I know a lot of you guys have read stuff online or on Facebook, or you've heard about this. Wherever it is, everyone right now on some level is just aware of, you know, heavy metals. And if you're not, that's okay. there are numerous studies that show a correlation with heavy metal buildup or toxicity in the body and the onset of a multitude of negative emotional and physical conditions, autoimmune disorders, certain mental disorders. I'm literally drawing a blank on all this stuff right now. But there are a number of issues that come up in the body: dementia, early onset Alzheimer's, certain, autoimmune disorders, even Lyme, Hashimoto's. A lot of these conditions will have some sort of a relationship with the buildup of heavy metal particulate matter. Also emotional stuff, brain fog, inability to use our discernment, inability to maintain our emotional states, being easily influenced or controlled or affected by outside frequencies can also be, exacerbated by the heavy metal buildup in the body. And so if there's anything you do, if there's any kind of physical change that you make, if you guys are capable and you really want to take advantage of the information and the energy that we're moving in this course over the next few weeks, is begin a dedicated heavy metal detox process. We're exposed through a number of consciousness dampening chemicals, minerals, and metals throughout our environment, through chemtrails, weaponized food, water supply. For those willing to really immerse themselves in this process, please begin. If you're capable, maybe get a hold of a few of these herbs, a few of these minerals, whatever this is. If there's one thing I really, really advise you to begin taking, and I know not everyone can get these, but if you can, here's a few things you can take, because people ask me this question all the time. Fulvic acid, incredibly helpful. You'll know if fulvic acid is beneficial for you. Oftentimes people, the first couple times they take it, a few minutes later, maybe 15, 30 minutes later, they feel like they can breathe a little bit deeper. Why does that happen? Because fulvic acid begins to oxidize and break loose the chemical bonds of heavy metal particulate matter that line the upper chakras, along the gallbladder, the triple heater meridians that run along the side of your head, and also down into your lungs. It creates an oxidization effect in which things begin to breathe. They begin to open up. And so magnesium is very helpful for, replacing or kind of moving into some of the places in which your brain will hold on to negative emotional states due to heavy metal buildup. Magnesium is very useful for that. Silica as well will help you, reform the crystalline bonds, or to continue the creation of the crystalline bonds between your cellular structures. It's one of the things that allows the scalar wave frequency to move evenly through the body. So if you're able to get a hold of silica, it's very helpful, as is cilantro, iodine with kelp. Those are also very good. They don't necessarily cause chelation in the body. What they do tend to do is cause a reassignment or a movement of the heavy metal particulate matter away from certain areas. But chlorophyll is also very, very good for oxidizing your internal environment. One of the most useful things, which I haven't taken in quite some time, but is incredibly useful, is food-grade diatomaceous earth. You can even use this to get rid of fleas or kind of pests in your home, not because it's poisonous, but because it seems to have an ability to kind of bond or grab onto certain type of pathogens. Diatomaceous earth is incredibly helpful for clearing the intestinal tract, for moving through all the buildup of the heavy metal that is released in your body by taking, cilantro or iodine or chlorophyll. Not all of these chemicals are going to remove it from your body. What they're going to do is start the flushing process of moving it out. So the reason why we end up taking something like diatomaceous earth is just to continue the purging process. A lot of people are unable to use the intuitive abilities that come from, the neuronal activity in your intestines. And yes, there are literally neurons down there. There's a whole other kind of etheric brain structure that begins to activate within your intestines. But a lot of us right now have been blocked up or suppressed by just heavy metal toxicity in the body. It's not also heavy metal. It can be, actual, foods, chemicals, pharmaceuticals that we take. I will just say it because I know it's just a fact of life for some of us that are taking antidepressant meds or certain types of psychiatric medications. I will just say it. Some of those will directly impede your ability to activate and use your intuitive or empathic abilities. That's because that's kind of the mechanism by which a lot of them work. They're able to turn off or deactivate frequencies in the body, and that's what causes a lessening of some of those issues like anxiety, like depression, all of those things. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. whenever possible, if you're able to get a hold of these detox herbs, you guys, it's very important. Please get the liquid version. Not everyone's going to be able to go through this detoxification process, but if you can, this is going to really deeply help you through this class. And so you just start by taking a few drops with water in the morning before you eat anything. Monitor your thoughts and emotions. I have experienced this effect as well, but sometimes when we start a detox, we'll get a little bit sick. Some people will go in guns blazing and they'll take multiple droppers and a bunch of liver cleansing herbs, and they take them all on the very first morning, and within an hour they're sitting there on the couch and they're like they're very emotional, and you feel really nauseous and your stomach feels all puffed up and you feel really, really gross. And that's because you've started a really accelerated movement of just purging. And so take just a little bit, go slow. This is an ongoing health regimen that you guys are going to be doing over the next few months. And so I'm going to go ahead and check your questions, because I know some of you guys might have questions about detox and stuff. Zeolite. So Renee asked about zeolite. Yes, thank you. That is actually a really good question. Personally, I have not used zeolite, Renee. I know a lot of people do. I know there's some people selling it right now. I have heard reports that zeolite and some of the less discerning manufacturers have unknowingly added heavy metal additives into that. So I think it's really important that you check where you get it. I like to talk about the things that I have taken, and I have taken every single thing on this list, and I know that they work. I know that they, that they will get the job done. Zeolite, I think, is probably a very legitimate thing that you can use, but just use your judgment. If it feels right for you, try it. If you're on it, and give it a couple of weeks. If you get worse, maybe it's not for you. But oftentimes when we get those negative symptoms, it's just because we need to back off a little bit. This is a health regimen that you're going to be doing over a period of time. And what we find is that people who really actively approach a heavy metal detox, those are the ones that are really able to break through and transform, to really shift your thinking, to shift your programming, and especially activate some of the higher chakra abilities. The third eye is directly affected by heavy metal buildup. Why is that? Because heavy metal particulate matter creates an actual ring, a literal ring around the sides of your head. Some of you guys, you will probably go and start looking for MRI images online of heavy metal toxicity in the body, and you will find these ones that have this weird cloudy ring that forms all around the sides of the head. The reasons for that are many, and the effects are many. We're not going to dwell too far on it, but it's very, very important for you guys to be made aware of. In my opinion, this is one of the greatest physiological blockages that we have. A buildup of toxic heavy metal in the body. And so along with that, hopefully some of you guys will be able to start doing Qigong or Tai Chi or yoga. The idea is if we're able to follow up these new practices with some form of physical movement, this greatly expands the progress you're going to be making. So we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. Today is just a little bit of a, just an overview, and we're going to do some energy clearing. And as everyone's kind of coming back in and getting in the room, we are going to talk about what are we doing here? What is this energy clearing process? Why are we doing this? Well, one of the like I mentioned earlier, one of the primary methods by which we're going to be expanding our consciousness, awakening these gifts, these abilities, and especially stepping into the next version of you through this eclipse gateway on December 26th, is by going through these dedicated energy clearing processes in each and every session. The idea behind this is that while you're beginning to use the scalar toning frequencies, you're also generating an awareness of the structures, the meridians, the chakras in your body, especially the ones that pertain, or rather, especially the ones that are important for expansion, for working with fourth density energy, the empathic, psychic, and intuitive signals in your body. And so today, this group clearing process, excuse me, what we're going to be essentially doing is going through a very, very deep cleaning. In this first clearing, we're going to go very, very far down. We're going to work with some areas of your body and move into places of consciousness that you might not have been before, or maybe not for quite some time. The idea behind this is to create space and openness within the dimensional layers of the body that will allow for a deep release of any dead or stagnant energies in our bodies that might impede our progress in the coming weeks. For a lot of us, you guys, depending on how old we are, depending on what we've been through, We will have actual programs, codes, experiences, emotions. We can have phrasing and conversations and arguments even from family of origin that are sitting in our body that will continue to unconsciously play through our, through our minds and, keep us limited. They're like blockages or little like roadblocks in the body. And so the idea behind doing this incredibly deep clearing in the beginning is that it's like we're just flushing everything out. We're creating as much of a blank slate as we can for the coming weeks for what we're going to be doing. And so what does that look like? How does this work? Let's talk a little bit about it. I'm going to be activating and moving energy through a number of energy centers in your body. We'll probably start at the very top at our crown chakra and move down through some of the areas that I like to use in my individual clearings. Now, we're going to be using some toning. It's your choice if you would like to follow me in the creation of this vocal frequency here today. If you feel comfortable doing it and you want to take part in creating the vibratory state in your body, you're totally capable of doing that already. What we find is for some people, it's easier in the beginning to kind of listen to the process, to feel and to go through everything without trying to participate. But I just want to tell you that if you guys feel comfortable in doing these tones with me through this clearing, absolutely go for it. If you want to just sit there and listen, that is very, very helpful as well. It's really up to you. But if you've never done a clearing with me, if you've never done, or just a clearing in general, it doesn't have to be with me. This is very, very similar to the individual process that we use. I can see there's a few people in the class here that have done individual sessions. We're essentially going through a little bit of an expanded version of that process. But yeah, feel free to join me if you're familiar with some of these areas. We're going to go through a few key areas in the body. You can even make physical contact with those as we move through. One of the things we're understanding about this scalar wave frequency is that when we are in person, when we are doing self-work, it is very helpful to create those two poles on the battery, just like we saw that, on, the image, that pole A and pole B, the two, almost like we're going to be plugging like a jumper cable into your body. We're going to be feeding some areas with new energy. So if it's the first time you've ever done this, my recommendation is just to let yourself breathe, to receive. The only thing you'll need to be able to do is hear my voice, so you don't have to look at the screen or anything like that. We're just going to be doing kind of a meditation here together. And so a little bit more about that. Today, we're going to begin with an extended deepening process that may take some of you into a very, very deep theta state. So what is a theta state? It's just above sleep, just above unconsciousness. When a lot of you guys are like meditating, or if you're already familiar with theta healing or theta healers, or just moving through states of consciousness in the body, theta is just above sleep. It's one of the, it's oftentimes the brain wavelength range in which we tend to do, remote viewing, in which some people have out-of-body experiences, in which some people begin to move very effortlessly into this sort of mental, astral, quote unquote, environment. And so some of you guys might lose consciousness entirely. Some of you might fall asleep. My recommendation is to let whatever happens, happen. You don't need to worry about hearing this if you feel like you're losing some of it. The reality is, as soon as we enter that focus space, your body remembers everything, even if the brain doesn't. So don't worry about following along. Don't worry about anything. You're just here to receive. That said, as we go through this process, as we go through this clearing, please allow yourself to experience any emotions. One of the things we come to understand about deep energetic clearing in the body is we inevitably, sometimes it'll be, here today, sometimes it'll be a few weeks down the line, we will inevitably come to a place, especially when we open the lungs, and we're going to talk more about the lungs next week, but when we begin to open up certain areas in the body, certain dimensional layers, we will inevitably experience an outpouring of emotion. So for some of you guys here today, you're going to experience some tears, some old emotions. Some of you may have a very, very deep emotional release. That is excellent. It is perfect. You are among friends. You are in a safe place. And the reality is your guides, your soul team, those who are guiding you here in this physical lifetime, they brought you here. today for this purpose, for this class. So we allow whatever comes up. Oftentimes we get old images or memories and we just let them flow right down the drain. So there's no posture requirements for this, you guys. There's no mudras, there's no mantras. You don't have to hold your back perfectly straight. We're not going to sit there and just, you know, hold everything in this straight line. This is about making yourself comfortable. If you feel like you need to itch or move or anything during this healing, absolutely do it. This is not a restrictive modality. The only limits on this are just your own ability to relax, breathe, and allow yourself to receive. And so finally, remember, your mission here today is to allow and to participate in a deep energy clearing process, which will be setting the stage for the work you will be doing in the coming weeks toward activating your own intuitive abilities and creating the next version of what you chose to become in this life. And so we're going to go ahead and begin. Everyone, hopefully you're settled in. You're at home or in a place where you feel good enough to close your eyes for a while. And before you all do close your eyes, as we formally begin this process, I'd like to bring your attention to this phrase at the top of the screen here. And as we begin, we're just going to say this to ourselves, repeating it to ourselves, almost like we're just telling us. We're telling the higher self version of us, that version of you that's inside there. It's a very simple phrase. I invite you to repeat it with me out loud or internally as we begin this process. It goes like this. In the name of the one infinite creator, I allow this healing energy to release or remove any energetic or emotional toxicity from my mind, body, and spirit, known or unknown, in this life or beyond. Good job. Take a deep breath in, everyone, as we begin. Gently closing your eyes, beginning to settle in. Acknowledging here this group of individuals gathered from all over the world in their own individual spaces that have come together for the purpose of expansion, liberation, and empowerment moving into the next year of their lives. And when you're ready, everyone, I'd like you to return to that deep, slow breathing all the way down in your belly, like there's a balloon down there. You're intentionally blowing yourself up, intentionally expanding your diaphragm, intentionally opening your energy. And as you exhale, everyone, be sure to exhale everything. Go all the way down to the very bottom of that breath. You're priming that pump inside you, getting ready to receive new energy. Now we'll start the synchronization process, beginning to synchronize our heartbeats and our respiration. It's incredibly easy to do. In the next few moments, I'll count from 3 to 1, and as a group, we'll take a deep breath in together, as big as you can go, all the way down in your belly. We'll hold that breath for just a few short seconds and then exhale as one, as a group, synchronizing and aligning our energy. Let everything out of your body. Let it all drain out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold that breath. And release all the way down to the very bottom. Let your breath normalize. Once again, acknowledge you're among a group of people synchronizing their energy all over the world, linking themselves, linking their energies, linking their timelines, moving into the next version of you. Do this as a group. In 3, 2, 1, we'll take another deep breath in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath and release. All the way down. Let that breath completely leave your body. With your eyes closed, just begin acknowledging your energy joining in a ring, in a circle with those other members of Group right now, there are 27 all over the world joining their energy, forming a ring emanating from the center of your chest. Let's make that ring and that circle, that orb binding us together even stronger as we take another deep breath in as a group, synchronizing our heartbeat, synchronizing our respiration, entering into that fourth density energetic container. Let's take a deep breath in together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold it. And release. All the way down. Very good. As you begin to just notice your body and your internal environment, I'd like each and every one of you to pay special attention to your hips. Just bring your awareness to your hips. There we go. Bring your awareness to your pelvic region, right down in the bottom. Good job. You're just bringing your awareness there, allowing these additional elements and layers of the body to open up. Let's move up a little bit higher, right into your chest, right into the heart space. Good job, everyone. As a group, I'll count from 3 to 1, and we'll take a deep breath in right into the center of the body, further expanding and harmonizing our energy fields. What we're doing is we're forming a ring of energy, joining every individual in this group together from the center of their heart. Let's create that connection, that coherence, that harmony between each other and our energy fields as we take a deep breath in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and hold it. And release all the way down to the very bottom. Very good. Feel your body's beginning to loosen up. Feel your energy starting to drift and relax. Acknowledge that you're connecting beyond the third dimensional frequencies that we're all used to. You're moving into that astral realm. You're connecting with your soul group, with that soul library of knowledge and resonance available to each of us. Let's begin bringing our focus and energy up to the very top of your head. As a group, we will take one more deep breath in, expanding and opening the energetic flow from that crown chakra, creating openness and connection, allowing new energy to begin to flood into the body. Good job, everyone. I can feel you coming online. Let all that breath out of your body. Let's take a deep breath into the very top of our heads in 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath. And release. All the way down. Very, very good. So as we begin to move deeper into the body today, I'm going to very gently begin a round of Diksha, just placing a connection or an orb of light right at the very top of your head. For those of you that are able, I'd like you to start reaching out to that childhood version of you, that childlike imagination that's still inside each and every one of us. You're making a conscious choice to connect with that incredibly vivid, cartoon-like childhood imagination inside you. That version of yourself in there that can see anything vividly in their mind's eye like a cartoon, full of life, no holds barred, living in the realm of magic and pure creation. As we begin to move deeper into the body, we'll begin with creating a small point of light at the very top of your head. I'll be placing my hands at the top of your head and reciting a mantra in the next few moments. For now, your job is to breathe And allow this point of light right at the very crown of your head. Let's begin that Diksha process, taking a deep breath in as a group. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold it. And release. Om Shrim Sarveshwaraya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Jyotishe Namaha. Om Shrim Param Premaya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Karunyaya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Pavichaya Namaha. Good job, everyone. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Let's begin to move deeper down into our bodies. Once again, just acknowledging any sensations, acknowledging any emotions, acknowledging the energy beginning to move in your body and the irrigation of the subtle energetic currents and the movements through the templates in your body. Let's begin to go deeper into your consciousness, deeper into you with a very simple exercise. What I'd like you to do is in the next few moments as a group, I'll be counting from 3 to 1 and we'll just be gently opening and closing our eyes like we're flicking a switch on the wall. We're just gently opening and closing, turning the lights on or off, moving deeper, moving farther, descending into yourself. It's a very, very easy thing to do. Once again, as I count from 3 to 1, we'll just gently open and close our eyes like a switch on the wall. Let's do that together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Gently open and close your eyes. Good job. Moving farther down into your body as we move into your forehead, into the skull. Let's do that one more time. Opening our eyes and closing them together in 3, 2, 1. Open and close your eyes. Good job, everyone. Take that breath and fall deeper into yourself. Let's move a little bit farther down, right down to those temples. Very good, everyone. Let's do one more time. We're going to count from 3 to 1 and open and close our eyes, moving deeper into the layers of the body. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Open and close your eyes. Good job. Nice slow breath in. Very good, everyone. Let's bring our attention and awareness to those temples at the right and left sides of your head. We're going to begin today by just opening and cleansing the gallbladder meridian in the body. As we move through these weeks of clearing and advancement, it's very important for us to begin by deleting that running loop, that pressurized circuit of emotional energy constantly moving through your body. For some of us, we've been holding on to this loop of thoughts and obsessions and fears for years or decades. When you're ready, as we've moved deeper into our body, hold your attention and awareness at your temples. For those of you joining us in this process, you can take your fingertips and place them at your temples at the right and left sides of your head. As we move farther into the body, let's release your gallbladder. Let's release the triple heater. As a group, we're going to take a deep breath in together, and I'll begin the scalar toning process, bringing a frequency and a wavelength between your temples, silencing and turning down the tense, running loop of thoughts, emotions circulating through the body. For those of you that choose to join me, let us begin. For those that are new to this process, just allow this vibration to move through your body, through your head. Allow any emotions, allow any memories that may arise. This is old energy leaving your body. Here we go. Let's take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Very, very good. Let that breath gently drain out. Taking note of the emotion, taking note of the sensation, taking note of the changes that are beginning to shift in your internal environment. Let's move down a bit farther into the body, a little bit deeper into your consciousness. On our next exercise, it's very, very simple. We once again bring out that childhood imagination, that childhood version of ourselves. And when you're ready, as a group today, we'll begin to just imagine that we're standing in front of a chalkboard in front of us, each and every one of us here in their own world, in their own place, in their own internal realm. We begin to notice when using that childhood imagination that today we are standing right in front of a chalkboard, just a simple old school chalkboard. For some of us, it's been quite some time since we've seen a chalkboard or written with chalk or seen a piece of chalk. And so we'll just allow that imagination to kick in, to remember. And when you're ready as a group, let's just notice there's some chalk on the railing underneath this chalkboard in front of you. When you're ready, I'd like you to pick up a piece of chalk in your fingers and approach that chalkboard standing directly in front of it in your mind's eye. Feel that piece of chalk in your fingers. Acknowledge that you're about to move deeper into the dimensional layers and the templates of your body through a very simple exercise. All it requires is the use of the childhood imagination inside you. And when you're ready with that piece of chalk in your fingers, I'd like each and every one of you to begin drawing a circle on that chalkboard in your mind's eye. About the size of your head, you're just drawing a circle on a chalkboard. Going around and around the outside of that circle, continuing to trace that circle with that piece of chalk in your hand, exercising that childhood imagination, just acknowledging that with this simple gesture, you're moving deeper into the structures of your body as you draw this circle. And as you draw this circle, you're just listening to the sound that the chalk makes on the chalkboard, the contact of the chalk on the surface of the chalkboard. You're smelling the smell of chalk. You're remembering the feeling of chalk in your fingers as you continue to draw this circle on the chalkboard again and again. And on that next deep breath, you'll begin to acknowledge that in the next few moments, I'll ask you to begin drawing a symbol in the middle of that circle on the chalkboard, but do not go outside the circle. Make it as neat as you can, right in the middle, right in the center. It's so easy to do on that next breath as a group with that piece of chalk in your fingers. Begin drawing the number 3 in that circle. Draw number 3. You're drawing a 3 in a circle on a chalkboard in your mind's eye. Make that 3 as neat as you can. Trace over it again and again. As you draw the 3, acknowledge you're moving deeper into your body, deeper into your internal structures. Look at the 3 you're drawing. Say it in your mind. 3, 3, 3. Very good. Let's take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, watch the 3 disappear just like magic, but the circle remains. Blow that 3 away. Blow it right off. There you go, everyone. Blow it right off that chalkboard. And when the 3 is gone, take that number, that chalk in your hand, and start drawing the number 2. You're drawing a 2 on the chalkboard in the middle of that circle. In your mind's eye, you're just drawing a number 2 as neatly as you can, tracing over that 2 again and again, acknowledging that you're moving deeper into yourself, deeper into your consciousness. Look at the 2 you're drawing. Listen to the 2, the sound it makes on the chalkboard with that piece of chalk. When you're ready, look at the 2, say it in your mind. 2. 2. 2. Take a deep, slow breath in, and as you exhale, erase the 2, just like magic. Erase the 2. Watch it go away, but the circle remains. And when that 2 is gone, I believe you know what to do. Those of you that are following along, take that piece of chalk in your fingers, and in your mind's eye, begin drawing the number 1 in that circle on that chalkboard. You're just drawing a 1, and as you draw the 1, once again, bring your mind back to that piece of chalk in your fingers. The feeling of chalk, the sound of chalk on the chalkboard, understanding that as you draw this 1 in your mind's eye, you're moving even deeper into your consciousness. Look at the 1 that you're drawing. Look at the piece of chalk that you're using in your mind's eye. Notice how small it's getting. It's almost gone. It's shrinking each and every time you draw the number 1. The chalk gets smaller. Look at the 1 you're drawing. Look how perfect it is. Say it in your mind. 1. 1. 1. Deep, slow breath in. Very good. Make that 1 disappear. Good job, everyone. On that next breath, make that circle disappear. Now you're erasing the circle. It's just like magic. Let's just make it go away. There it goes. Good job, everyone. This is a new process for you. On that next big, deep, full breath, blow that chalkboard away. Just make it vanish from your mind's eye. I'll do it with you if you haven't already. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Erase that chalkboard. Very, very good. Let's move even deeper into your consciousness. You're doing very well as a group. We notice when that chalkboard is gone and we embrace that childhood imagination, that higher self working with us in this moment, we begin to realize we are now standing at the top of 10 steps leading down directly in front of you. 10 stairs directly in front of you. When you're ready, I'd like you to reach out to that childhood version of yourself, that incredible imagination. And the only thing you'll need to do here today is just notice what those stairs are made out of. Notice the material. Notice the colors. Acknowledge that you're about to move even deeper into your consciousness, deeper into your body, deeper into the dimensional blueprints of yourself as you simply acknowledge you are standing at the top of 10 steps. Ready to descend even farther into yourself. And when you're ready, on that next deep, slow breath, as you look down at those stairs in front of you, I'd like you to look down at your feet in your mind's eye. Just notice what you're wearing. Notice where you are. Notice what age you are. Acknowledge that you've been brought to this very important point in time for a very important experience, a very important purpose. Today, the next stage of that purpose begins as we descend this staircase, moving deeper and farther into you than you've been, maybe ever before, maybe in quite some time. As that next breath enters your body, look down once again at those 10 steps in front of you. The next few moments, we'll walk down these stairs as a group, each individual in their own realm, moving deeper into themselves. But for now, just notice those stairs. Notice those 10 steps. Notice that you're beginning a journey into the next version of yourself. And on that next deep breath, look down at those steps in front of you one last time as I count from 10 to 1 as we walk down together. Here we go. 10, 9, 8. Gently stepping down. Feel your feet on the stairs. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep, slow, easy breath in. Very good. In this moment, we welcome the guides, guardians, ancestors, family members, the galactic family, all those guiding and assisting with the mind-body-spirit complexes present here today on November 17th of 2019. We honor you and thank you for your presence here today as each one of these individuals begins the creation and the movement into the new version of themselves, of what they chose to become and create in this new timeline. We ask for your guidance, for your healing, for your assistance. We ask for the ability to bravely open, confront, and expand our energy, to boldly go in this life where we have yet to go, where we have yet to become. We honor you and thank you for your assistance. As we place our presence, our energy, our focus, and our hands over the heart space, and for those of you joining along with this tone, when you're ready, place your hands over your heart. We're going to bring some light, some clarity, some healing to the heart, into the lungs, into the pericardium, creating space for the coming weeks of advancement. Here we go. Let's take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Breath in. Very good job, everyone. Excellent. You're creating a very solid orb in your body, a new wave of energy. Let's bring this down a little farther. Guide this bubble in awareness that you're creating. For some of you, it'll be very subtle. For some of you, it'll be very warm. For some of you, this is just a process of beginning and opening and allowing new energy. When you're ready, we'll bring our awareness, our hands, and our connection right down to the top of your belly, right at the base of your rib cage, right at the beginning of that solar plexus. Very good. And as we move a little bit deeper into the layers of the body, as we move farther down into expanding and opening our energy, we inevitably come to the solar plexus, to the storehouse of energetic momentum, to the place where we hold many of our deepest wounds, and especially those programs from previous stages of our life. As we begin to move energy through this area, some of us will inevitably experience old emotions, old memories, old images from the past. As we open, align, and cleanse the solar plexus, your job is now to visualize, to manifest, to fantasize, to think of, to dream about whatever it is you're creating. Whatever those fourth and fifth density energetic abilities, whatever that next version of yourself looks like at this stage of the game, you may only have a slight image, a very small idea. You may just be barely beginning to scratch the surface of what you're capable of. But as we move this tone into the solar plexus, as we begin to expand this energy, this area of our body, it's very important that we focus on the desires and what we are choosing to become. As we begin to program this energy center in the body to assist with the creation of the energetic momentum in the coming weeks, I invite you once again, hold your attention, hold your focus at the solar plexus. Let's take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in as a group when you're ready. Very good. A lot of emotional waves. Good job, everyone. You're doing really well. Feel your energy, feel the connection from those others going through this same process. Acknowledge how as we go deeper and deeper through this clearing, we become more connected, more aware. As we continue to breathe, we become more connected, more aware. As we continue to check in with ourselves, our energy and our emotions, we become more connected, more aware, more empowered, more clear. Let's move one step lower as we take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold it. And exhale as we move down, 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 right down to that tailbone, right down at the bottom of your body. Let's guide that little bubble of energy. There it goes. Bring it right down to the perineum or your tailbone, or right underneath you. For some people, it will land in the genital region. For some people, it will go right underneath your body like a little cushion. For some of you, you may just experience a very warm heartbeat or a flooding of energy within the lower regions of your body. What we're going to be doing here as we prepare to close and move through the conclusion of this energy clearing meditation today is we're going to be connecting our root structures and pulling them down into that crystalline core of the earth, that Gaian structure underneath us, reconnecting with that earth star chakra beneath our feet and beginning the seeding process of the timelines we are each creating during this course, during this energy clearing. We're beginning to plant the seeds in your energetic and physical realm for the new you. We do this by creating and transmitting the largest tone and the greatest wavelength we've created yet. As I create this tone, we'll be pulling this energy from underneath you all the way down beneath your feet, underneath the earth. For some of you, you may experience old emotions. For some of you, your ears may ring. Your feet may become cold or warm. You may feel a little sweaty for a moment. For many of us, this is the kidney meridian beginning to open at the bottom of your feet, allowing a new, clean, clear connection with that grid of energy underneath your body. And so when you're ready, just let that focus. Let that attention drift right underneath you. We're going to create a little bit of an expanded field of energy in your body. For some of you, it'll be a little intense. For some of you, it'll be a little emotional. We're going to go ahead and bring in that wave. Here it comes. 3, 2, 1. Good job, everyone. This is your final tone. As I count from 3 to 1, we'll take a deep breath in. As I create this tone, for those of you that are joining me, we're pressing our energy, sending it down underneath our feet. For a lot of us, it'll go just about a foot, 6 inches, 8 inches underneath your body. That's perfect. That's the location of the Earth Star Chakra. We're plugging ourselves into that new timeline. Let's do this as a group. For those of you guiding and assisting with the members present here today, we ask for the clean, clear, empowered connection into the truest version of themselves that we are creating, the next version of the human template available to each of us. We now align ourselves with that chosen timeline and that outcome. Please place your hands and your energy all the way down above your abdomen, above your hips, above the pelvic region. Very good. Let's take a deep breath in. In 3, 2, 1. Take a deep, slow breath in. All those of you here still with us, just notice what you notice, the movement in your body, the energy, the emotion. Acknowledge at this moment you are now in connection. The group of individuals from all over the world undergoing the same process, the same path, the same awakening, the same journey. Understand that at this moment, you are connected with your teams, your higher self, multidimensional council, your guides, your family members, your galactic family. All those that are conspiring here together today to assist with the expansion and the creation of what you chose to become. Acknowledge this is the first step of many toward unlocking those new abilities. Whatever that version of you is that's waiting to arrive and come online, today begins that journey, that next step. The very last thing you'll do here today is I'd like each and every one of you to look over your left shoulder in your mind's eye. Behind your left shoulder at this moment stand your guides, guardians, ancestors, family members, galactic family, all those guiding and assisting the members of this soul group in the process they are now beginning. We honor you and thank you for your assistance, for your healing, for your guidance, for your activation. We ask if there's anything else the members of this group need: energy, healing, guidance, inspiration, clearing, whatever it may be at this stage of the journey. And for the weeks ahead, we ask that you begin transmitting the contents of this energy or these messages within the next 24 to 48 hours. In whatever way they're capable of receiving it. Dreams, synchronicity, direct message, whatever it takes. We honor you for your presence and your guidance in this realm. as we continue this movement and this passage to the next version of what we all chose to create. In the light and love of the one infinite creator. So it is. So it is. So it is. Thank you. I know you are with me. Good job, everyone. Let's start coming on back into 2019, to November 17th of 2019, day one, first session of our intuitive timeline creation course. Good job, everyone. For some of you guys, this is the first energy clearing you've ever had. I'm deeply honored to be going through this process with you. What we're going to do now is take some questions, some comments. Over the course of this first session, some of you guys might have had some ideas or some questions coming up, some ideas, maybe some things you want to focus on, just some stuff you're wondering about. What I am going to do is in the next few moments here, I'm gonna allow you guys to unmute yourself here. And so if someone has a question, hopefully not everyone will talk at the same time, but I'm just gonna allow everyone to kind of unmute themselves. I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna let everyone. I'm gonna let you guys unmute yourself. So I just muted, or I unmuted and then mute you. So if somebody has a question, if you want to ask, feel free to kind of shout that out. As we're getting ready for that, I want you guys, if you're capable of doing this in the next week before we meet here again, if you're capable, you guys, I'd like you to try practicing this protocol. You're going to get an email with this recording later on. If you choose, you can scroll all the way through it and go right to the end where we're doing this meditation. But what you can also do is hang out at home in the coming days. And when you do any sort of, like self-work, for those of you guys that are doing meditation, which is critical for the expansion of your consciousness, I want you to begin toning. And it's so easy. You're literally just going to hold your hands or your fingertips on an area of your body and just create that vibration. And so the thing is, in the beginning, for a lot of you guys, it's going to feel kind of like you're going through the motions. Some of you guys are going to click into this immediately. Some of you guys are going to go through a bit of a process. But I noticed somebody unmuted. Does somebody have a question? Anything you guys want to add? Any questions out there? Feel free to let me know. You can also put it in chat if you don't want to kind of add your voice. If anyone has any questions, go for it. Okay, So Melinda says, yes, I have two questions. One is, I read some time ago, there's a special private Facebook group. There is actually. And so here's the thing. I didn't know how to link that on the Zoom presentation so you could click it. I was going to put a URL with the Facebook group on there. What I would recommend you do, if you guys are on Facebook, if you guys can add me, I have a private group called Multidimensional Energy Healing and Intuitive Development. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link to it on my own Facebook profile. I know not everyone here is on Facebook, so I do apologize, but it still is kind of the easiest method by which we can sort of interact as a group during the week. So please add that group. I'm going to be checking in there every day to see what comments, to see what's coming up. Some of you guys are going to notice big changes in your dreams and some of your sensations and some of the feelings in your body. So feel free, if you have a question throughout the week, please enter it in that group. I'm reserving that group entirely for just the discussion we're going to be having through this 6-week course. So feel free to reach out. There are no dumb questions. This is a place where we're meant to talk about this. So thank you, Melinda. It's a really good question. We have another question. Is your impression that we are going in the direction of Scalar having more impact effect on us, or that ourselves or our bodies are becoming more scalar? That's a very good question. I don't know that I would say that we're becoming more scalar, that we're becoming less scalar. I think what we're doing, Melinda, is beginning to open up templates or layers of the body that allow us to interact with, use, or receive this energy in a slightly different way. One of the ways we describe even, the fifth a density consciousness is, it's a thing that already exists. It's a thing that we already have. It's a frequency that's already inherent with us. And so I don't know that we're becoming more susceptible or more receiving of scalar energy, but I believe that we're entering somewhat of a vibratory state that allows us to make greater use of that frequency. So I hope that I hope that makes sense to you, Melinda. Thank you. I'm gonna scan through and just see if there's any more questions, any other comments. So we had a private comment about kidney rejection medication. That is perfect. That is great. Continue to take that. That shouldn't really have any real effect on the work that we're doing, but it's very, very good to know. I would say just continue with your health regimens or any of the meds that you're on, as that will probably also have an impact. And so, yeah, thank you. And so Catherine says, I felt like when I went into a dream state where I was talking to someone, interacting with them, but I don't know what was discussed. This happens when I dream also. How can I remember what is being said? That's a really good question. Thank you, Catherine. I would say one of the first things you could do on that physiological level is the heavy metal detox. One of the things that we're understanding about dream recall, or the ability to actively recall, or just to kind of bring back the contents of what's happening in the astral realm, some of that is blocked through the brain fog that we experience with heavy metals. I would say primarily aluminum. Aluminum, and I believe mercury, and probably lead, because it has a very, very heavy kind of weight. It has like a weight effect on the energy body. So yeah, thank you for that. I would say, how can you recall that? I would say just start monitoring what's happening. Understand that you're going through a process of creating greater clarity, and in the beginning these are going to feel like kind of cloudy or muddy things that are happening. So I would just monitor what shows up, and especially you guys, those of you guys that are still here, monitor your dreams in the coming days. You may find, even tonight, and I know it's evening for some of you guys where you are, but you may find you're going to pass out tonight. You might sleep really heavy. Other people, you may feel very energized. Some people might not sleep. Some people will feel very amped up, and they'll be like, hey man, what the hell? I'm supposed to be tired. I'm not. That's okay as well. Why does that happen? Why do we experience physical changes after energy clearing? Oftentimes it's tied to the movement of energy through the kidney meridian. Not only the kidney meridian, but it tends to be a kidney meridian energy. That's what happens when we open up that little connection down at the bottoms of your feet. For those of you guys that are wondering, it's called KD1, the first kidney meridian point on the body. And that's responsible for kind of a recalibration of your energy. So just monitor what comes in the next 24 hours. Yes, feeling a bit floaty is a big part of it. VA Dold says, anyone else a bit floaty? Absolutely. That's a thing that also happens when we open up the crown chakra. And so, thank you for those of you that are gathered here today. If there's any other questions, feel free to shout them out if anybody has anything else. And other than that, we are going to get ready to take off. So any other final questions, go ahead and send them in the chat there. You guys did really well. This is an incredibly new process for a lot of you guys. And what we're going to be doing next week, just to recap once again, we're going very specific into chakras, into meridians, and especially the areas and the energetic anatomical frequencies that are responsible for either blocking your abilities or for activating them. Some of those we touched on in the slide that we had with the chakras earlier. What we are going to do in the coming hours, probably by the end of this evening, is we're going to email everyone out just the raw class. It's not edited. It's everything that we did here today. We're also going to email you guys the slides in PDF form. So if you guys want to look at that information, you can. Some of these slides are going to be reused in the coming weeks. Some of them are going to be repeated. And we also have a ton of other stuff that we're bringing in. So just use what you can. Please practice this modality. It's really no good unless we try to use it on some level. And it's as easy as just creating a tone or a vibration in your body with intention. Notice how you feel. Please reach out through the private Facebook group. I'm going to post it on my profile. It's probably as soon as we're done here. And yeah, we will see you all within a week or so.